Welcome to If God Had a Podcast. I'm Pavlina and today we are talking with nutritional biochemist, registered dietitian, and certified sports nutritionist, and he's also well known as the world's greatest formulator. It's Shawn Wells. How are you doing, Shawn?
I'm doing so well. It's great to be on your show, and thank you for having me on.
Absolutely, absolutely. I am so happy to talk to you because there's so many things I just want to cover. There's so many things going on. I think a lot of people are focusing on their health, they're focusing on fitness, what's going in their body. COVID has obviously done that to us, but there's a lot of other things going on as well. But also there's a huge mental aspect, mental health. I think a lot of people are talking about it right now, and you're like the perfect guy to go to, which is amazing. So I wanted to first go into your story. I like my audience to know exactly who we're talking with and, what they're about to, what information they're about to get. So you are a success story in so many different ways. You've overcome so many hurdles. And I just want to know, with all of the, first of all, can you start from wherever feels comfortable to start your story, but how you got to, where you are?
Yeah, thank you. Man, if I go back to my childhood, it was a difficult one. My brothers were running away. They were abused. There was a lot going on. They're my half brothers, and it was a difficult childhood. I was bullied at school, made fun of a lot. I ended up putting on a lot of weight, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and being made fun of for that, especially for being a young man that had a large rear end. That was like my fat distribution was not in the stomach; it was on the backside, and so I got made fun of a lot growing up, and I started just eating the junk food and playing the video games and kind of hiding away. And then, like I said, just at home, like things were chaotic, and that made it difficult on me. I was very stressed growing up. Didn't feel like I fit in very often. I learned how to be the class clown to some degree and make fun of myself, but I never had uh, really positive self-esteem or confidence.
Right.
And I think that led me down a path of like being the wounded entrepreneur, constantly trying to prove myself, feeling like I was, less than everyone else, but trying to show them that I can be better, and just coming from a place of hurt and pain,
Right.
and that pushing myself got pretty unhealthy, like to where I was, working, 80 hours a week, whether like, I mean, up until recently, that's how I've been as an entrepreneur, and that's how I was even like in college.
Right.
And it wasn't until I went to a doctor when I was getting my undergraduate degree at Babson, a business specialty school, that I at least got this passion and purpose as far as supplements and biochemistry. I was pursuing information systems, which is like IT and marketing and all this stuff in school, and just thinking business is what I'm supposed to do. Everyone tells you that's what you should do.
Of course.
That's the age when you just do what people tell you to do. And I was talking to this doctor, like getting my routine physical and telling him like about supplements and all this cool stuff. And like I was starting to see changes in my body. I was working out, I was using creatine, protein,
Right.
started feeling some pride about myself. So I was pretty lit up. And he drew out this lifeline between 20 and 80, which I was 20 at the time. And he said, why not be happy between here and here?
Right.
Like, whoa, okay. Did he just tell me I should just pursue my dream? Like that simple? And I was like, yeah, that's really what he said. And that's like, I did finish up business school, but I ended up going towards my master's in nutritional biochemistry at Chapel Hill.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the power of words right there. And on the flip side of that, for 2 years, I kept down that path thinking that's what I'm going to do. And I ended up going to UNC Greensboro to get my 2 years of prereqs that I needed to get into Chapel Hill with all these sciences.
Of
And
course.
the guidance counselor laughed at me. He said, you're a business student. You're going to fail and you'll fail miserably. And you're not even in that good a shape. And,
Okay. Whoa. Whoa. A
and that
guidance
made,
counselor said that.
Yeah, that night I almost killed myself. I had pills out, alcohol out, and I thought I was going to check out of life because this was now my life's purpose for 2 years, believing this dream, and this person, basically tore it away from me. Luckily, I worked through that, and that, I resolved that, and that became my even stronger passion. And I thought of that guy every single day. It
Sometimes it drives you, you
Yeah,
know?
it was hatred driving me, but it drove me, and I ended up getting straight A's, getting into Chapel Hill, and pursuing that dream. But I mean, that gives you the power of words, and people have had
Absolutely.
a massive impact on me. If it wasn't for that doctor, I wouldn't be where I am. And honestly, if it wasn't for that guidance counselor, I probably wouldn't be where I am either. I mean, that pushed me harder. Um, so I like to think about the power of my words, but it really, like, I would tell you up until a year ago that I had it all figured out from those two stories that I learned my biohacking and my keto and my supplements, and I became this world's greatest formulator and all this stuff. But I was still a wounded entrepreneur. I was still working 80 hours a week. I was still constantly trying to level up. And it
Right.
wasn't until the beginning of 2020, actually New Year's, that I did a plant medicine journey, psilocybin, and that radically changed my path, like to where I was like, self-love, wow, I can, like, and I can just get love for free by loving myself, and I can just connect with people and they'll love me back, and I don't have to, like, do achievements to get that. And
Right.
up until that point, I believed that achievement was the only way I could get love. I mean, that's what, like, how my whole life was set up until that point. I didn't really know love. And so it wasn't until I was in a cuddle puddle on the floor, deep in psilocybin, that I was like, whoa, this is free. And these people are here. They don't even know who I am. They're here because they like me and I like them. And like, it's this simple. And like, you can tell someone that all day long, but until you're in that space with your neuroplasticity as it is, like in
Yeah.
psilocybin, you don't anchor it, you don't feel it, you don't make that neurological change. And so for me, and then 2020 with COVID was the greatest blessing ever. I was supposed to be traveling 300 days last year.
Oh, wow.
And again, pushing, and like anything that came into my path, hey, can you speak at this engagement? Can you be on this radio show? Can you do this TV show? Can you do this document? I'm like, yes, 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 yes,
Of
yes. If
course.
there's an open space, yes. Because I believe that, like, just more and grinding,
Right.
and that's how I'm going to get to the top. And I was sacrificing my health, and I've had autoimmune issues with Epstein-Barr, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue,
Right.
Hashimoto's. I've had a pituitary tumor. I've had discs replaced in my neck because I was just pushing and pushing and pushing, and I was grinding myself down. Even though I knew the biohacking, I knew the keto, I knew like how to work out, I knew all the hacks, but
Right.
all of that stuff is just what kept me hanging in there and allowed me to push more. Instead,
Right.
like, I knew all the secrets to push longer and further, but it
Yeah.
wasn't like getting me to a healthier point. And luckily, like with 2020, like destroying my travel schedule, I was able to do more plant medicine journeys, work with some therapists on like a Byron Katie style work, like where you're exploring the stories that you've created and that you anchor that aren't necessarily true.
Right.
So like revisiting those and seeing how those have been, you've accepted those as truths, but they're not necessarily true. They're all from your perspective.
Absolutely.
And then getting some really great mentors around me and doing mentoring, which is key too. I created like a group of 5 ladies that I check in with like every day, and mentoring them has been helpful to me. So like just this process that I've gone through has like been a massive paradigm shift in my life to where I'm finally loving myself, proud of myself. Like literally in some of these journeys, I'll be saying, Shawn, I love you. And it's like,
Sometimes you gotta say it.
that's something that I've never given myself. And I, like, last thing, like I did a session with like this elite hypnotherapist last year who works with all these pro poker players. And we did this regression, and there was a traumatic moment in my childhood. And, there's the whole thing where, do you see that little child? Can you like give them a hug? And that already had me crying,
Yeah.
really crying. But then he's like, what does that child think about you? And this child was, it makes me emotional now. Like, this
Mhm.
child is so proud of me. And I had never, I think I'd spent, the first 40 years of my life, like looking for that, looking for someone to say, I'm proud of you, Shawn. And to give that to myself was one of the most powerful and transformative things that I've ever had happen in my life.
Absolutely. I think a lot of kids, and I actually very much resonate with your story on, they'll love me if I'm successful. The more things I achieve, the more people like me, the more my family will approve of me. All of that has a huge effect on children. And I think, and for, listeners that don't know, the plant medicine, psilocybin, all of that, it's, shrooms, psychedelics, that really just like open your mind to new ways of thinking, new pathways. Just it's a great experience, and I love that you do that. It's great. And you covered so much. Words are very powerful.
Yeah.
Your childhood and what happened, and when I think it's even more powerful to see that younger version of yourself, because I think about that all the time. I'm like, is she happy? Like, is she proud of me? Like, how am I doing? I think about that all the time. And I think it's even more powerful and even more meaningful when you yourself are like, I'm proud of you. Like, it's one thing when another person says it, or it's, if that feels great too, but it's a whole other thing when you like fully accept and like really can love yourself in that way.
Yeah, yeah, and one of my big shifts when I read the Four Agreements was realizing,
Great book. Yes.
don't take anything personal, and then you start realizing how hurt people, right? That you project out on other people.
Yes,
Then
absolutely.
you start realizing I'm blaming everyone and everything around me, but I'm in control of all of it.
Right.
That you control your happy, you control your experience, you control your reality.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, like, you really do control all of it. What you're experiencing, you control. And once you stop blaming others, and once you stop looking for saviors, and stop blaming the world or events or 2020 or all these things, and you shift your perspective, like, that's when your experience will radically change.
Right.
And then lastly, I started realizing this was the most powerful shift along those lines, is that I compliment people all the time, but I rarely compliment myself.
It's hard to
And
do.
I started realizing that the things I'm seeing in other people are me.
Mm-hmm.
These powerful things that I admire in other people are pieces of me,
Right.
and they're my story and they're my perspective on myself. At the very least, like, the mental state I'm in, for me to see what I'm seeing in that person is is through my lens, which means, like, it's who I am. And
Mm-hmm.
so once I started, like, thinking about these compliments I'm giving out, and started thinking about, oh, that's you, like, it started, like, allowing me to, like, feel more free and more proud of myself.
Right, absolutely. And now you're one of the leading nutritional biochemists. You're an expert on health optimization. And, I've been pretty health conscious. I've always been sort of health conscious. I recently went vegan, actually, which has been super fun. And that's even made me more health conscious, which I think is crazy. But there's so many different diets or lifestyles out there. There's keto, vegetarian, paleo, all of those different things. I think at this point, people just want to get into shape. They want to do what's easy, because I think like being vegan is not easy, or for a lot of people it's not easy. For me it's easy at this point, but I think a lot of people just want to get optimal health. So first of all, what is optimal health? I guess on a actual health level, but then also in a mental health level, and how can people find what works best for them?
Optimal health. I mean, there's so much bio individuality, right? Like, and what that means, because, like I was saying, like, so many people I run into in, like, these biohacking circles are doing what I was doing.
Right.
They're wounded entrepreneurs. They're driving, they're pushing, they're hustling and grinding, and their body is breaking down, and they're finding all the hacks to, like, become limitless and push yourself further, so I can just grind the living shit out of myself.
Mhm.
But that's not like the way to optimal health. Like there's two, like if you look at the autonomic nervous system, there's the parasympathetic, which is rest and digest, and there's the sympathetic nervous system, which is fight, flight, or freeze.
Right.
And we need to be in both, like it's a yin and yang, but like we're always pushing on the sympathetic side. We're always like thinking like that's where we get more and more and more out of life. When if you take that step back, when you take time to heal, when you take time to recover, when you take time to think, to be creative, to breathe, to meditate, things come into your world. You allow for manifestation to happen. It's not just right place, right time. Like people think like, if I keep working, if I keep busting my ass, I'll be in that right room somehow where something big happens.
Right.
But the thing is, I really feel like you're in the right place, right time all the time. You're just heads down. You're just not aware of it. You're just not allowing that great relationship to happen. You're not thriving in a way that you see that person that's hurting. You see that person that you could connect with, that's like you, that conversation could happen. Like you're just heads down, making it through the day, sucking down your caffeine, saying like, "Damn, like I can't wait until the end of the day." And that's a very different mindset. You're not going to be in a place to make the most of all these great situations that could potentially happen throughout your day.
Absolutely. I think, and I have a lot of, entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs that follow me. And I know that I kind of do that. I think I probably do. The whole like grind, grind, grind. And then, I don't like, I try to meditate. I'm pretty good at it. I try to get my, couple minutes in. I feel like, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this as well. When you have that mentality of just like the go, 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 I need to hustle, I need to get in the gym so I can look perfect and I can do this. And I'm going to, contact these people and do this. And you're just kind of like rushing all the time. When I do slow down, when I do take a break, when I, take some time for myself, self-care, whatever, I feel like guilty about it. And I feel like I shouldn't be doing that. And I'm like, no, you need to like make more money. You have this, you have to do this. Like, I want to get to that next level. There's so many things that stress me out.
Yeah,
And
no,
I don't like to take the time for myself because I just end up feeling crappy afterwards. I'm like, well, okay, my skin is super soft and I feel great. But at the same time, it's mentally, I'm like, well, now I'm going to stay up, an extra 2 hours. So I'm going to send some emails. I'm going to do this. I'm going to create this. Like, so what are your thoughts on that?
yeah, I totally get that. I spent a lot of my life in that mode, and then I started realizing that no one's keeping the clock on me. That like, I used to have so much pride that I would be in like Bali and Maui and Fiji and all these places, and I was like, I'm working the entire time. Like these suckers are on the beach, and like I'm looking back now, like what? Like
Right.
what did I like? Why am I thinking like this? And we're trained to, and
Yeah.
we believe that that is the way, but it's a terrible path. Like I mean, first off, that grind thing like means your heads down. There's heat, there's smoke, there's pieces breaking off, and you get sick like I did. It's not healthy. And so there's a term in like exercise physiology about overtraining, but the
Mhm.
new term is actually under recovering. And so we're
Wow.
not taking enough time to recover.
Right.
This is a machine. This is an optimal machine. Both your brain, your body, you need to take that time to this is think about ROI. If you are business oriented, think about ROI. That's what I think. Like if I do take that break, if I do go get my nails done or a massage or whatever your facial or whatever you're talking about, like
Right.
or take time with friends and unwind or take that nap during the day, and I come back and I do one thing in 30 minutes that creates revenue. Like, I mean, look at the actual equation. Look at what happens when you actually do take that time for yourself. When you made that connection at the Starbucks because you took time to have some coffee and relax and kind of down regulate, and then you met this really great person. Is that a coincidence? Would you have met them if you were heads down and grinding?
Right.
What is it you're actually accomplishing when you're grinding? Are you really that productive? Or does the productivity really come out of when you down regulate, when you take time for yourself, when you recover, when you're feeling good, when your head's up, when you're connecting with people, when you're loving the ideas, when you're passionate about what you do, when you have fire for life, and you've created boundaries to protect your energy, because that's one of the best forms of self-love, is creating boundaries, being
Right.
clear in your communication about what it is you do and don't like. Well, then you'd be surprised what happens. And you'd be surprised about, if you really look at the ROI, what's really happening.
Absolutely. And I actually want to follow up on that really quick. You said protect your energy. I had a nutritionist that I was working with probably a couple of years ago at this point, who always told me I need to protect my energy because she could just tell that I was, I guess, not. And I think only recently I kind of figured out what that meant, you know, setting those boundaries, doing the things that I need to like do for myself in order to like to be okay. But for those that don't understand like exactly how to protect their energy, could you kind of explain that?
Be careful of zombies and vampires. Zombies are going nowhere, have no plan, and really offer no value to you. And when you offer value to them, it reflects off and goes nowhere. And then energy vampires are people that are sucking the life from you. Like every time you're around them, you feel drained. Every time you're around them, you feel tired.
Right.
It's work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's overwhelming, and it's just not a good place to be. You need to be around people that light you up, that create the positive energy, that bring out your creativity. Those are the people you need to put around you. You need
Right.
to be very careful about the people you put around you, because you're a product of the 5 people closest to you. So choose carefully. Who are those 5 people?
Yeah.
Think it through. Like, it can't just be your neighbors, it can't just be the people that you went to school with, or your family, and it's just, well, because they're there. Be very conscious about the people you put around you, because you are a product of that.
Mm-hmm.
So think that through so that you can show up in the best way possible.
Absolutely. Zombies and vampires. That's like literally the best way to say it, because there's, you know, the draining people, and there's the people that, you know, you give everything you have to them and just like, where'd that go? That did nothing. Okay, cool. You know, you also mentioned biohacking. So first of all, what is biohacking? And how can people easily like incorporate that into their routines?
Yeah, so biohacking is hacking your biology, meaning like you're trying to elicit some increased performance through a shortcut.
Right.
So like some of those examples would be like doing cold plunges. Like those have been shown, or
Yeah.
cold showers. Those have been shown to increase energy, reduce inflammation, all these kind of positive health benefits, improve your resilience to viruses and bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
Doing things like red light saunas, um, and then you can actually do contrasting with, like, red light hot saunas with cold plunges or showers. Like that's even more of a contrast there. There's all kinds of supplements. There's things like the ketogenic diet. There's intermittent and extended fasting. These are all like biohacks that improve your resilience, improve your health, which obviously is important now with everything going on, like both mentally with wherever you stand, on politics and riots and all these kinds of things,
Right.
but also like, COVID-19 or the flu, or, whatever is going on out there in terms of people's health. Like the more resilient you are, resilience is like you're harder to kill. So
Yes.
if you like, the obstacle is the way, right? Like that's stoicism in terms of a mindset, but it's true in terms of the body. There's something in the body called hormesis, where that agitation creates adaptation. Like you grow stronger. The obstacle is the way. You don't wish for a path that had no obstacle. You don't wish for a way around the obstacle. You enjoy the challenge of the obstacle, and you grow by overcoming that obstacle. That's where you actually find yourself. People are like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I don't know what I want to be. I don't have any clue about, what I should be doing for a living and what my brand should be. It's because you haven't challenged yourself. You haven't put yourself in the path of adversity, where you actually find yourself in the adversity. You're like, this sucked. Like, but I really like these two things, and I found myself having this incredible superpower when put under duress.
Yeah.
That's impressive. I'm going to take that piece And I'm also going to get rid of this other piece that I hated. And so now I'm clear on here's one thing I'm incredible at, here's one thing I'm not very good at. And the only way I found that out was by putting myself under pressure.
Right. I what is the saying? It's like when you put coal under pressure, it turns into diamonds, right?
Yeah.
Like that's exactly it. And there's a lot of, stress, depression, anxiety, that all takes a toll on the body. What are some of those effects? Like, I don't think a lot of people realize, I didn't realize until recently, how it can just run you ragged. So what are some of those effects that that those emotional distressors like cause on the body?
Yeah, I mean, first off, it's going to be adrenal fatigue with, again, being in that sympathetic nervous system state too much, where you're not allowing the parasympathetic its place. So your cortisol and your adrenaline, which is also called epinephrine, are running rampant, and those are too high, too long. It's damaging the organs. Your heart is working too hard. All those kinds of things. Also, you're putting yourself in a state of mitochondrial and metabolic dysfunction where you're demanding too much energy of your body, where it's overtraining and under recovering. And so that can be problematic over time. This insufficient cellular energy state that you're putting yourself in is creating oxidation, inflammation, glycation. Like it's creating more biological aging and propensity towards disease than your chronological age would dictate. So we're aging ourselves faster. We're not giving ourselves the fuel, the energy, because like the body is just so demanding, like to push, 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 push. It's kind of like if you were to have your cell phone on like full brightness all day long and you're using it all day long.
Right.
Surprisingly, it's not going to last as long. And
Yeah.
you're going to need it and it's going to be dead. And it's no different with us. Like sometimes we need to be on battery saver mode, or have the blue screen mode on, or be lower brightness, and turn off some of the notifications, or whatever. Like we need to like chill out sometimes. Yes, we can be full on vivid and bright when we need to be, but you can't be that way all the time. Like you need to take
Yeah.
time and recharge your batteries. So that would be a
Like
good.
phones.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, okay. And just to like kind of dive in a little bit deeper on that, I struggle with anxiety, depression. It's like an everyday battle. And I don't know, like, how do I not let that affect my body? Or like, how can I, you know what I mean? Like, I know a lot of people out there that it almost seems like uncontrollable, I think. And they don't know, it's just like, it's hard to control sometimes. And it's hard, like, how do you not like let that affect your body?
Well, I think like some of what you're talking about before, and I know with my personality, and I'm assuming we're very similar until
We're
like
very similar.
like where you are and where I was very recently, is you're in training your body psychosomatically to show up in a certain way.
Right.
And so, for example, like when if you look at all the blue zone countries like Sardinia and Korea, all these places like that, they live longer. When they eat, they sit around for 3 hours. They commune, they laugh, they cry, they talk, they cook their food. It's a very parasympathetic experience where it's relaxing. When
Mm-hmm.
we eat, it's like we're getting something out of the vending machine. Like I
Yeah.
just got to stuff my
The
face. Like
second thing I can put in the microwave and heat up, and I'm going to eat it while I'm writing emails.
and I'm weaving in and out of traffic, and I got to get there, and I'm just shoving something in my face. And so literally when we eat food, it becomes a trigger for stress because that's what we've trained our body for, that you're under stress when you're eating food.
Mm-hmm.
And in these other places, they're so used to food coming with de-stress that whenever they do have food, their body relaxes. So
Right.
we're always training as an example of how we're always training our body to show up a certain way. And so we're reinforcing these things with our daily behaviors. And so if we can work in things like the self-care, the relaxation, the deep breathing, like even just some box breathing. I don't know if you know what that is, but like let's say you do like a 6, 7, 8 second box breathing technique where you breathe in for 7 seconds, right? And then you hold it
Oh,
for
right.
7
Okay.
seconds. Then you breathe out
Let it out.
7 seconds, hold it for 7 seconds. And you do that a series of times. And even like Navy SEAL special operators see the benefits of that going into battle. They have a more steady trigger finger. They have like a better sense of like what's going on around them without feeling as much panic. And those are people that are, in high stress situations,
Real stress situations.
and but it works for everyone. You hear about this with people that are also just highly meditative. So it works for all of us. It's a hack. So that's something that you can look at, but you need to start training your body to do some of these hacks to reduce the amount of overwhelm in your schedule less things, leave room for serendipity or, maybe even, situations that go awry, but leave some room in your schedule. That's important. You can't have a schedule that's maxed out and then something come into your world and it not overwhelm you, good or bad.
Right.
And lastly, I would say that just it comes down to perspective, like we were talking about before. If you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
That's right.
So if stuff feels like a grind, I don't believe you should be doing it. Hustle, yes. Hustle and flow, cool. Like you get to a flow state where you are in your full zen, your creativity, like you're shining at that, like that phone on full brightness, and you showing it to the world like, this is my gift, see me.
Mm-hmm.
And you can hustle to get to those situations. But if you're grinding all the time, that's not a good place to be. You're breaking your body down and you're never going to win that way. I mean, I think we've been lied to believe that's the path to winning.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Shawn Wells, thank you so much for coming on If God Had a Podcast. We're going to have to bring you back on because I swear, like there is just, I told you before we started, I was like, there's too much to talk about. There's too much to go into. I was like, I can't keep this short, but thank you so much for coming on. ShawnWells.com is where they can get more information and, learn more about you and contact you, correct?
Correct. And energyformula.com.
Yes.
My book. Yes. Thank you.